Good afternoon, Lebanon area seniors. It's Rebecca here at the Lebanon Senior Center. Actually having to do take two, so camera decided to turn off while I started this recipe, so it's underway. So we're going to get you caught up. We are doing beef stroganoff in a pressure cooker. Lovingly, currently the famous brand going is Instapot. In our Instapot, we have going on right now 3 tablespoons of butter and 3 teaspoons of minced garlic. We got that on the saute setting in the Instapot. Got that going, got that butter melted, and then we just put in 2 pounds of, in this case we did sliced, I had some carne asada beef that I had gotten on sale a couple of weeks ago. Carne asada beef is just a bottom round that they've sliced real thin, so it comes in these like sheets, and so I went ahead and put those into strips, and I put those in here with that butter and that garlic. So we're just sauteing those together here. I'm just stirring it a bit, trying to make sure the beef doesn't stick together in one clump. You can certainly use another cut of beef as well. Stew beef would work really well because, it's the pressure cooker. So you can use an inexpensive cut of beef. You don't have to use like a filet mignon here because the pressurized cooking is going to help tenderize and soften that meat. That being said, you don't have to cook it as long if you do something that is, already kind of tender from the beginning. So I don't have to cook this long because it's thinly sliced and it's, not an overly tough cut of meat. As this cooks down, I'm just going to check here. Yes, it's looking good. It's smelling good. Come on, the smell of butter and garlic and beef cooking away. Really hearty, warm, comfort food dish. Beef stroganoff comes to us from Russia, where it was birthed, and of course America has definitely grabbed onto it and done what it would with it. All right, almost done there. So again, we were just working it on saute. That's the fun thing about these new pressure cookers. They have all these lovely settings, so they're fun to use in a variety of ways. You hear pressure cooker, like me, I think back to the days of canning. But they do a lot more now, or certainly people have learned to use a pressure cooker for a lot more. And these Instapots, honestly, I love to cook rice in it. The doneness that the rice gets to is really perfect in my opinion. The slow cooker often turns it into mush or something like that. It's not great. And I'm not one to get a rice cooker because I don't do it often enough to feel like it needs its own machine. This lets me do multiple things in one device. I hate having a kitchen cluttered up with all kinds of cooking gadgets. If I can't do 2 or 3 things, I really don't want to talk to it. All right, so our beef is getting ready, and this is where we have to mix it up a little bit. So with our beef right there, we went ahead and got as I said, I might have forgot about it, but you can put mushrooms in here. We didn't include mushrooms in our household. Only one person likes mushrooms, so they don't get them very often. But if you're a vegetarian, you can certainly leave the beef out and do all mushrooms. Instead of doing a cup of sliced mushrooms into this recipe, you can certainly go all in. Get a couple of different kinds of mushrooms, or just, really add more mushrooms to it. Do 2 or 3 cups of mushrooms instead of 1 cup and leave the beef out. Later we're going to be adding some stock, and instead of using beef stock, you can use a vegetarian stock. Obviously it's going to affect the flavors, but when you're vegetarian, you're probably not used to these flavors anyway. All right, so you can definitely be having the mushrooms. If you're going to add the mushrooms, add them with the garlic, not after the beef, but before the beef. Okay. All right, I'm going to get our cornstarch out a little bit, and I'm just going to sprinkle just a little cornstarch, just a sprinkle, okay, over the beef. I'm going to toss it around. We're just trying to coat some of that beef with some of that cornstarch. It's going to help thicken up the sauce that we're going to start making on top of this. There we go. Get that mixed in there. All right, so we are going to add 3 cups. 3 cups of beef stock to our recipe. And we are going to add in 4 tablespoons, I don't know what a spoon is, 4 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, right? Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. Worcestershire or Worcestershire, depending on where you're from and how you want to say it. 1 more. 4. And if you're wondering what the heck I'm doing with this thing, I have a kind of a cool measuring spoon. It has all these measurements on it, and I can adjust to make it smaller or bigger. I really kind of like this thing, 1 spoon, to get me through all of my recipes. All right, so we've got the broth, we've got the beef, we've got the Worcestershire, and we are going to cover it. Oh. There we go. I'm going to cover it. I am going to turn my steam valve is in the on position, and we are going to put it on a different setting. We are going to do kind of meat stew. Oh, almost right. Gotta turn it off. All right, meat stew. I'm turning it way down here. There we go. So we're going to put it on the pressure cooker setting. Depending on which pressure cooker you have, it'll indicate something, you know, read your directions. We want it on a pressure cook setting for 15 minutes. So I'm going to let that go, and when we come back, I will show you how to do the next step. But, you know, you can find something to do for 15 minutes, I'm sure. And we're back. So we let our beef mixture cook in the pressure cooker in the Instapot for 15 minutes, and we'll correct myself. Wasn't meant to be on meat stew. It was supposed to be on manual. There we go, manual down there. I did stop that right away and get that reset when I turned the camera off. So manual. Again, different companies sometimes label things different, so just check with yours. It just needs to be cooked on a pressure cooker setting for 15 minutes. And then we release the pressure. So this little valve up here, to cook, it's got to be in the center. It will feel loose. It's fine. As the pressure builds, it gets really tight. And after it's done cooking, just do a quick release. You just push it down and turn it over, and it's going to start spewing hot steam. So I like to use a towel. The other thing I like to use the towel to do to make sure I don't get burned by the steam is I'll actually lay the towel over the top of it, and then I will feel for that little button and push it and twist it to the side with the towel on it, just to try to keep that spitting steamy water from coming my direction, because you know, there's facials and then there's pain. So I like to do that. So after that's done, after it's had its chance to settle down, we know it's able to release because the little ball's floating around. So then we're going to take a hold of the handle, turn it to the side. It makes a cute little chime noise, and we're going to lift that lid off. Ta-da. I'm going to set it down right there. Smells good. I'm just going to give it a quick stir. See, you can almost see how tender that meat is. It's just barely holding it together. So it's nice and tender. It's still a bit runny right now. Obviously we added a little thickener, but not a whole lot. The reason we do that, we aren't panicking because it's not so saucy. It looks more soupy. So we still need to cook our pasta. We got about 10 ounces of egg noodles, and those are going to go uncooked right in this pot. That's right, 10 ounces of uncooked pasta go right in the pot. Now this is why it gets to be a one pot wonder at this point. If you were doing this from scratch, using a traditional recipe, you'd have to boil water, throw the pasta in that pot, cook your beef and your sauce in another pan or skillet, just making all kinds of dishes for yourself. So I am putting all that pasta in there. I'm just kind of mounding it towards the center. I like to keep things away from the sides of the pressure cooker pan because the metal pot gets really hot, and so things stick or can burn to the sides, or the parts that do tend to be a little overdone. All right, that's all we put in the pot. So we're gonna add that lid back on. There we go. Get it locked in position. Make sure that little pressure nozzle's back where it's supposed to be. Gonna do manual, and this time we're only gonna do 3 minutes. Oh, I can do it. Told you, I'm still new at this. There we go. To get it started, just hit that manual button again, and it'll start up. So it's going to start heating up, and as soon as it heats up, it's going to hit that 3-minute mark and say it's on. Don't you like that? Not too hard, not too shabby. I'm going to keep my towel nearby so that I can tack it with that again. I was going to share something else with you, and I'm forgetting what that is. So we'll come back in 3 minutes. All right, so that last 3 minutes went by really quick, and in our pot we have noodles that are cooked. I mean, they're nice and jiggly and perfect. Gotta love it. All in 3 minutes and in the same pot. So the last piece we're going to add in here is our sour cream. Now, I like Stroganoff because it's a great way to use up the end bits of sour cream containers. So if, like, you know, have the grandkids over or something and they use some, and you find out that you had another container in the fridge, or somebody opens that other container, you can sit here and use it up before it goes bad. Or use that little last bit when you're getting the close to the expiration date, and have a purpose for opening a new container. Haha. And not letting any go to waste. Alrighty. So our recipe says to add half a cup. Honestly, I like it a little creamier than that, so I add a little bit more than that. You probably noticed. So once you add your sour cream in, you can just mix up your lovely dish here. I'm going to quickly try to bring it together, getting the last little bit of the juices left over from our from cooking the beef in that butter and the garlic. Just get those incorporated with that sour cream sauce. And then, of course, you can salt and pepper to taste. I'm going to knock in, let's make it a whole teaspoon of pepper. And, you know, depending on what kind of beef broth you use, you may not want to add any salt at all. I did a nice low sodium so I could control how much salt we have. All right, so this show is going to go on the road here with me, because I know you guys probably want a closer view. We'll see what I can do here. It only gets so far. There we go. So that is our delicious looking stroganoff. Nice and creamy goodness. And that is what's for dinner tonight. Haha, here. I hope you've enjoyed this cooking demo. Just some other things that you can do. Certainly, if you're a big onion fan, you can have, at the beginning when you do the garlic, you can add some diced onion to your version of the recipe. Again, you can make it vegetarian, or try to, by just doing all mushrooms, no beef. And you can use vegetarian broth instead of the beef broth. If you're vegan, I don't know what you do for dairy, but maybe you'll know something that I don't. And if for some reason you end up still a little too saucy, where the as the pasta cooked, not enough of the moisture was absorbed, and so you've got kind of like a soupiness left to your sauce, you can use some more of the cornstarch. Just get a little bit more beef broth, or even a little milk. Mix in a little cornstarch into that and make it a slurry. You can turn your pot on to the soup setting. It'll warm up, and you can pour your mixture in. And when it gets to a boil, that cornstarch will get activated and help thicken your sauce. So definitely something else you can do if the consistency of your sauce isn't what you want it to be. If you want a thicker sauce, you can certainly do that. And then for a nice finishing touch, you can certainly chop up some parsley, sprinkle it on top, adds that just freshness and that shock of color. That would make this a really lovely dish to serve on a table to family, or for a special dinner for friends, or for family that's coming to visit. All right, so that's it. That's all. I'm out of tips for the day. There you go. You currently know all I know about the Instant Pot. We'll continue to work with this new tool, this gadget, and see what else we can come up with here in the future. We still have other recipes this month in our One Pot Wonders. Last week we did a one pot chili, and that was a lot of fun. This week it's beef stroganoff. So we've got slow cookers to explore. Maybe, I haven't decided if we're going to do a sheet recipe. Everything's cooked on a sheet, or if we're going to do a skillet meal. Just so many options. All right, you guys have a great night. We'll see you next week from Lebanon Senior Center. Be well.